All right, everyone, welcome. I am so excited for today's episode with Jenn. Jenn, welcome to the show.
Hey, thanks for having me. It's so fun to be here.
It is so fun to have you here. I've been watching you on Instagram like a creepy stalker because I'm just obsessed with everything you do. I'm like, you are so fun to follow. So
Oh, you're
tell
so
us
sweet.
before we get into like the tips and the tricks, tell my audience who you are and what makes you you.
Sure. Oh, it's so fun to be here. And I'm Jen. I am in North Carolina. I live in the mountains. We were just talking about how we both live in the middle of nowhere. But I am from the city, as you are. I'm from Miami, Fort Lauderdale, Florida. But I love it here. We were craving a slow pace of life, lower cost of living, and our family just really needed to get out of the hustle culture. And speaking of my family, I am married to my husband, Joel. We've been married almost 16 years. We have 3 kids, 12, a daughter who's 12, a son who's 9, and another son who's 6. He just turned 6. They're awesome. And yeah, we're just loving life here. My husband is also an entrepreneur. He owns a real estate production business, and I own a self-care subscription box that I started in 2018 and a podcast as well, the Mama Needs podcast. So that's about
I
it.
love it. Oh my goodness. I love it so much because that's kind of how we were with living in the city. We're like, we just need a slower pace for our family. And it's been such a good move. I've been so surprised. I wasn't
Yes.
expecting to like it.
I hated it at first. I was like, nope, I'm done. Take me home. I hate it here. I'm done. But you just grow
Been
to
there for
love
how
it.
long now?
Oh gosh, it's going to be 7 years in August. And I can't
Oh my
even
goodness.
believe that. It flew by. But yeah, it took some time just because, as you know, you're leaving behind a lot of conveniences. And, I don't want to sound like shallow, but like I don't have a Target. A Target is an hour and a half from me.
Right.
And we got a Starbucks just a little while, like just 2 years ago. Things like that where it's just like you miss these little things that you just had right away at your fingertips. And then you move somewhere else and it's just, meeting new people, getting plugged in and getting used to a different way of life. It was just totally opposite, but I love it now. We're like, I could never go backwards. We don't have traffic. Like, I don't even know what that is anymore. When people honk their horn at me, they're honking to say hi, it's
Right.
not like, pulling the finger out in the window and like, they're nice people. Everybody's nice. It's great.
It's so true. I love it when I pass like the old men in the trucks and they're like, hi. Like it
Yeah.
just
The
makes
wave,
the little wave. I love it. Like it makes me so happy.
I
Well, that
know.
is awesome. And today we're going to talk about your business, which is the Mama Needs. You've got this subscription box that you started, what is it, 2 years ago, 2018?
Yeah.
Oh
Two
my
and a
God.
half.
Congrats. That's so
Thank you.
exciting.
Thanks.
So let's talk about what is your box. You said it's self-care. So
Mhm.
just describe to my audience, like, what made you come up with this idea of having a subscription box for what mamas need and why self-care? What made you want to do a subscription box over maybe starting a store or something else? Like, I would love to hear what like went through your brain in the beginning stages.
Yeah, I kind of have to go backwards because I used to work full time outside of the home. Back when we lived in Florida, I told you we were in that hustle culture where it's just celebrated to go, 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 be on call at all times. We had a ministry job, and you don't leave ministry at church, you take it home with you. And so we were just always on call, and other people were raising our kids. I didn't get to take my kids to their doctor visits or pick them up from school, things like that. I knew I wanted to get as far away from that hustle work 24/7, 365. Like Christmases, everything it was just really hard for us. And so I wanted to get as far away from that as possible. We still go to church. We love God, but I wanted to get away from just that culture of working. And, it was hurting my health, and it was hurting my marriage and our kids. And we just couldn't do it anymore. And so I knew, we moved away to kind of get a new life and start over in that way. We had a third baby in that time, which was a little bit unexpected, but super awesome. Like, can't imagine our family without him. And over the years, my kids got into elementary school, and I finally kind of came up for air as a mom and was like, oh, I'm a person and I have dreams and I can do things. I've had all these creative juices and talents and skills that I used to use. They just kind of like lay dormant for a while. And I love being a stay-at-home mom. It's a high calling, it's a privilege, really, and I love it so much, but I was craving something to do. I needed something else. And like I said, once my kids were in school, I was like, oh, I can come up for air. And so I just started dreaming, honestly, with my husband. The both of us, we just were dreaming about what I could do. I wanted to do something that was my own. I didn't want to join somebody else. I wanted to start my own thing. And I didn't want to just do it for monetary purposes. I wanted to, contribute to my family, but also make a difference and help people and serve people. And I just was like, what can I do? And so literally I would just write in a notebook constantly. Like, I'm not a journaler. That's not really who I am, but I will get out a notebook all day long and write to-do lists or ideas. And so I just was doing that. My husband threw out the idea of a subscription box. And of course, I had heard of them. This was back in 2018, like towards the middle of that year. And I've heard of them. I'd gotten HelloFresh, I had tried Stitch Fix, I had tried some things, but I didn't really know about the industry. And someone told me about a site called cratejoy.com, which is basically a subscription box website, kind of like Etsy for subscription boxes. You can go on there and find any box like you could ever think of for any hobby you have or anything you like. But you can also go on as a merchant and start a business with them, and they'll be your back end, all the things. And so I looked into that. I found a course to learn how to launch a subscription box. And the only thing I was lacking was the actual idea. And so, like I said, just writing things down. One idea I had was to do like a cooking subscription box, because I just was thinking, like, what am I good at? Like, what do I love? What am I passionate about? I love cooking. I love writing. Like, I try to think of all kinds of things. And of course, there's a box for everything. So I wrote down randomly self-care for moms. And then I was like, oh, this means something to me. Like, I have had ups and downs with motherhood in my journey thus far. Back then I had been a mother for 10 years, now it's 12, but I'd been up and down in my journey. I'd seen where I'd completely not taken care of myself, especially when I worked full time. I always felt out of balance. I always felt like, well, I'm slaying it at work, but my home life is a disaster, or my home life is amazing. We couldn't be better, but everything's falling through the cracks at work. And it was just nonstop. And I could never kind of get my bearings. And so, yeah, I just knew that I wasn't the only one who felt that way. I also knew that when I became a brand new mom in 2008, there was no Instagram. I'm dating myself. There was no Instagram, but there was Facebook and there was Pinterest. And I remember already just being a new mom and feeling so much guilt and feeling like a failure at being a mom. And there was a thing at that time where moms would shame other moms. It was a real thing. There was a hashtag or something called mommy wars. And I was like, what are we doing? And so living through that, not wanting to bash other moms, like, we're all on the same team, we're all struggling, none of us know what we're doing. I just knew self-care for moms would resonate. I felt like I could speak to it with authority. That was another thing where I was like, what do I even know? I went to college, but like not for a specific niche like that. And I just knew that this would resonate with people. And so I just, like, my pen could not move fast enough. My brain was just like, and I like was really interested in, like, who could I support through this, and what could I do, and could I buy from small businesses and sell their products in my box? And it was never going to be just a storefront or an online business. It was always going to be a subscription box, because I found that course and I knew I could do it. It was an investment. It was scary to do that, But, my husband and I talked about it, and I was so excited about it. I just really felt like this is what I'm going to do, prayed about it, all the things. And I went for it. It was a huge risk. It was scary, but so glad I did. Yeah.
Oh my gosh, I love it so much. There were so many little gold nuggets that I'm like, oh, I hope my audience picked up on that. Number one, carrying around a notebook to write down ideas. I'm not a journaling person either. My audience know I have severe dyslexia. So like writing, I mean, not my jam, but like scribbles and circles and diagrams and like weird pictures that make me think of
Yes.
stuff. And if you're ever feeling stuck in business or wanting to achieve something, I love that you gave yourself time. Like, I have to have
Mhm.
this figured out by tomorrow. No, give yourself time
Yeah.
to explore what you like, what you're good at, what you can speak on authority with. Like all of those pieces. I love that you talked about that to bring it in to really figure out what you need to do and love what you're doing. Oh man, that was so, so good. I'm like, oh, I hope
Thank
everyone caught
you.
that. It was
I
awesome.
think too, part of that was because I was so afraid of failure. And I think that holds a lot of women, moms, people in general. I
Yeah.
think that holds people back because, you don't want to fail. You don't want to screw up in front of everybody. And so for me, I was just trying to be so careful of could I actually do this? Like, is this a real thing for me? And I don't want to just talk about something that I don't know about. I'm not a fake it till you make it person. I am all what you see is what you get. So I had to be that way. I couldn't do anything else but be who I am. So
I love that. It's so cool. What is that site that you said you can find out all of the
Great
boxes on?
joy,
Crate Joy. Okay. I
greatjoy.com. Yep.
think I just found my new favorite stocking site. Like,
Seriously, Stephanie, there is a box for everything you could ever think of. So
that's so cool. Oh my goodness. I love it. Okay. So let's dive in. I wanted you to teach some tips because I know some people in my audience, they're some of them already have their business, some are thinking of pivoting, and
mm,
some have been interested in the subscription box, but they're like, I don't even know where to start or what to do with this. So, can you give us a few tips for those people out there who are looking at this journey and like, okay, what do I need to know?
yes. Well, so I kind of touched on a few of them, but one of them for sure is know your audience. I don't know if your audience is familiar with the term ICA. I just learned that not long ago. So don't feel bad if you don't, but it's an ideal client avatar.
Avatar.
Yes.
Yeah.
So your ideal person, like who are you talking to? Like you can think that, I am going to do a box for every mom ever. And that's just not going to work because actually I started out that way. I was like, this is for all moms, but it's just not going to be that way. You're not going to reach the people that you want to reach because you have to know who you're talking to and be super, super specific so that your person is like, oh, you're talking to me, that I need that. And so that was a huge thing for me is that I realized I cannot be all things for all people. And I'm like that in life too. It's just a lesson that I have consistently had to learn. I can't please everybody. I can't do it all. And I can't do it all well. And so for me, it's taken me some time. I didn't start this business and be like, this is my ICA and this is who I'm serving. No, like it's come over time and experience and mistakes, a lot of mistakes. And now I know, who my person is. And honestly, I wish I need to figure out who I heard this from because I want to attribute it to that person. It was from a business coach, I'm sure, but they said, if you think of your ICA as a person, as who you were like 5 years ago, and that way, you're just a few steps ahead of your person, of who your audience is, because you've already solved the problem for yourself. And so if you think about who you were and what you were struggling with 5 years ago, and then you kind of use that as your lens to find your person, then you're good because you've already solved the issue. The steps that you took to get there. I'm not perfect at self-care. I don't do all the things right. And I still get overwhelmed. I still get burnt out and stressed out. But I know my triggers and I know the things that fill me up. And ultimately, I want to serve and give to my family out of abundance, out of an overflow, rather than a place of complete burnout and yelling and overwhelm. That's not the mom I want to be. And so, yes, know your audience, know your ICA. You cannot be everybody. We cannot be everything for everybody.
Oh my gosh, I love that. That is probably one of the hardest lessons to learn, because when you create something, and I was like this too, when you create something, you're like, this is so good and
Yeah.
everyone needs it, you know?
Yes.
But but when you speak to everyone, you speak to no one, and no one
Exactly.
comes. And it's like, so I
Yeah.
love that tip. So, so good.
Yes. Well, and so kind of along the lines of that is, and this is kind of how I learned that lesson, is through like bad reviews and not very nice emails from people
Yeah.
because they're not my audience. And so something that my subscription box coach, Julie Ball, taught me, and she teaches to all the whole course, is to bless and release bad reviews, bad emails, people who are just out to get you for whatever reason. They're having a bad day. You just, push their button the wrong way, or, whatever. You're not going to please those people, and they're not for you. And so when I first started the business, actually, I told my parents that I was going to be starting this. I'm very close with my parents, and they were so excited for me. Like, never thought that I would own a business. My dad is an entrepreneur, and so it kind of like runs in our family. My grandfather too. But I think with my personality, they didn't see it coming. And so my mom actually said, Jen, you're going to need to grow some thick skin. And I kind of was like, meh, whatever. But she's so right. Like, mama is always right, you guys. I needed to grow some thick skin. And I remember at the very beginning, getting my email list together, selling boxes. And it would break my heart literally every time somebody would unsubscribe to my box, cancel their subscription, or unsubscribe to an email to my email list. I'd be like, what did I say? Why are you leaving me? What did I do? And it really hurts too when it's like somebody and you see their email address and you're like, oh gosh, like it kind of stings
Yeah.
in a
Oh,
place,
totally.
like prideful thing. And so honestly, if I don't have to see those, like I don't want to see those, because it's not good for me, for my mental state. So that's another lesson, is just to bless and release. If you don't have to look at it, don't look at it. Just move on. They are not for you. And so now, almost whenever I see a unsubscribe or cancellation or anything, I'm just like, bye, Felicia. You're not for me, and I'm not for you. And that's totally fine. Thanks for trying us out. But, somebody else can come on in and take their spot. So,
I love that you said that, because I am one of those people too. I wouldn't say I'm a people pleaser, but I just want everyone to be happy. And
yeah.
so when people are, I'm like, oh no, oh no.
Yes.
I want everyone to be happy and loving life. And so, same thing when people would write an email, I'm like, oh, and so I
Yeah.
love that you said bless and release. Like,
Yeah. I mean,
bless
it
them, release
affects
them, realize it's
me.
not your people.
Yes, it affects me deeply. And, go back to The Godfather. It's not personal, it's business. Like, it's just, I never understood that until I started a business. People can get personal, but in the end, it's actually not personal. It's something that they're
Yeah.
going through. And so, yeah, it deeply hurts me and deeply affects me. And so I've had to really disconnect myself from those feelings and know that, I'm not for them. They're not for me. It's okay. Move
Yeah.
on.
I always tell my VA, don't tell me if people unsubscribe or not. Just tell me when people subscribe.
Yes. I only want the happy
Just
things.
tell me happy news.
I love it.
That's all I can handle.
Yes.
Oh, I love it so much. I am curious, because you've been in business for 2.5 years. What type of growth? I sorry, this is kind of going off track, but what kind
That's
of
okay.
growth have you seen in the 2.5 years?
Well, it's been slow and steady. And honestly, I could, I could say like, that stinks. Like, I wish that I had gotten, 100 overnight, 100 subscribers is what I mean. But honestly, I'm glad, because it's been super just slow and steady. People come, people go. But it seems like every kind of milestone, which is May and Mother's Day and Christmas, those are like my big times of year. those are when I add people in, and a lot of them stay around. And so I'm able to hit these kind of major goals that I've set for myself easily because of those holidays and those times when people are loving on other people and wanting to bless moms. And so I do well on those, and then I finally get to see that growth. But through the other months, it's very slow, very little by little, maintaining kind of a certain number. And then all of a sudden, boom. And I'm like, oh, yes, now I'm in this tier. Like now I can order this many boxes, this many things. And honestly, it's great because there's advantages and disadvantages of growing and being small. When I was small, it was easy to see where all my money was going. Now that I'm bigger, it's a little bit tricky, but I do get a lot of price breaks because I have more subscribers. Whereas before, I'd have to pay an arm and a leg because I'd only be ordering like 50 things. So yeah, it's been slow and steady, but honestly, again, like my first month, if I had 100 or even 150, I would have been like, oh my, I can't do this. Like, it's just been so nice to kind of grow to that place of the number that I'm at now rather than, like get there right away. So
Yeah. Oh, I love that. There was actually an interview I listened to, and I wish I could remember which shark on Shark Tank it was, but they said one of the biggest problems that they see with the businesses that they decide to invest in is that business wasn't ready for growth. Because as soon as they are shown on Shark Tank, as soon as they are, get a shark is
yeah.
going to invest and mentor them, they're like, get ready to blow up. And you
Mhm.
think as a business owner, you'd be like, well, that of course I'm ready to
Yeah.
blow up. That
Bring
sounds
them on. Yeah.
awesome. But what happens is they're never, well, not never, but a lot of them aren't ready for the amount of product that they have to go out. They're now short staffed. They now don't have enough stuff. And some of them fail because of that. Like they
Yeah.
grew too quickly. And so I love that you said that, like, if you're growing slow and steady, don't stress, like keep
Mhm.
going. You've got this, but it could be a really big blessing,
It's
instead of
true. It's
booming
true.
overnight.
You almost get afraid of success when you're small like that, because of that reason, like you're not ready. But yeah, it's just nice to kind of little by little grow. And of course, I love that. But like you see on the Food Network when Guy Fieri goes on diners, drive-ins, and dives, and he visits all these restaurants, and then he has episodes where he goes back and visits them, and they're all doing well, but they're like, we were not ready for the onslaught that of people like lining up out the door. So yeah, it's important to remember that you want to do well, but also like then you have to set up all your things and on the back end so that you're ready and prepared for a big break if someone was to come and invest, or a huge influencer was to advertise your business, and then all of a sudden you're blowing up with orders. Like, it's just scary to think about, but exciting.
Yeah. Oh man, I love it. Okay, so what's another tip that we can
Yes.
share?
All right. So finally, again, something that I've just learned over time is to stay in your lane. Do what you do best. Only you can do what you're doing. And let me tell you, I can count on, one hand, there are probably more, but at least 5 that I know of, other subscription boxes for moms that are self-care related. And, they're doing an incredible job with their niche. I know I can think of one in particular that is for working moms. Like that's a great niche. I'm not necessarily for the working mom or the stay at home, like either one really. But I just love that we're all in it for the same reason. We're all here to serve moms, and at the end of the day, that's all I want to do. And so I'm going to cheer on the other mom subscription boxes. They cheer me on too. Like I haven't come into contact with anyone who has been just not very nice. But it just spurs me on to chase after my dreams and my goals even more, and just stay where I am and don't look to the right or to the left and other boxes and other people and what they're doing, and get off focus, and then also compare or like think that you're not doing as well. Again, you're in a different business. You are you have your own talents, your own skills, you're serving your people and they're serving their people. So I am all about, collaboration over competition. And I just want to serve my people and serve moms. And so if other people are doing the same, absolutely, I want to cheer them on. So stay in your lane, do what you're doing, don't veer off, and serve your people.
I love that you said that because I think it's so easy for people in your industry to be like, oh, they did a launch. Now maybe I should be launching, or
Yeah.
they added this product to their store or to their box. Oh, maybe I need to too. Or they
Yep.
created this course. Does that mean I like we can get so sidetracked about what other people are creating and offering that we can lose focus of why God made us good at what we're good at. That
Right.
we've
Right.
got our own purpose and our own unique path, and that we don't need to look at other people. Now, question for you, because I feel like, I mean, even I have felt this in the past where people who are doing stuff similar to you, it's easy to look and compare yourself. So,
Yeah.
did you ever struggle with comparison, or were you just ever like, nope, I'm in my lane, I don't struggle with it at all?
Oh
Or were
gosh.
you ever like, oh, I kind of like that? Like, how did you
No,
deal with
for real. There was when I first started, there was another box that started just a few months after me that was for moms. But again, it was a different spin. Like we're not all doing the same thing. We all have a different kind of niche or a different, we have different talents. And so what they were doing was putting a t-shirt in every box and some self-care products. And I don't do t-shirts. I don't do clothes. I don't do anything sized. So that's something I learned a long time ago, is just for
it? Yeah.
me personally. The logistics of that for me are a nightmare. I love that other people do it. I can't personally. So, but seeing that box, it really affected me for a little while, where I was like, I'm going to lose everybody. They're all gone. They're all going to go to this box because they see this one. And I can't tell you, it has happened many times. And honestly, it's come through just talking to people who are wiser than me, to be like, no, they're not going to leave you. Why would they leave? They love what you're doing. Or, it's okay if they leave, you'll find other people. And cheer the other box on. And so honestly, I reached out to that box and just introduced myself, told them, I'm so excited for you. Congratulations. Like, I'm cheering you on. I'd love to collaborate. Like, if you want to ever order a bunch of product all at the same time so that we both get a discount, like I'm trying,
Yeah.
just things like that, where I don't want to appear like I'm competing at all. And I don't want to compete, honestly. I want to support them. And so they were super, super nice, super great. And they since don't have the box anymore, but in their place has come many other subscription boxes for moms. And, I haven't reached out to all of them, but we follow each other on the social media, Facebook and Instagram, and they cheer me on. I cheer them on. Everybody's doing a great job. So yeah, for sure. I'm a human. I'm for sure going to be like, and I've seen other people do other things. And like you said, and been like, oh no, should I be doing that? Like, what am I doing? And it's just really gotten me again to be laser focused and just get good at what I'm doing and stop thinking about adding stuff in right now. Because for a while it was just me. I've added a team member on to do my social media, and she's amazing. But like before that, it's just been me, a one woman show. And I didn't want to do that forever. I can't grow if I'm going to stay in that place. So yeah, if I need to get good at what I'm doing, and then maybe add some things in the future, I have some ideas. I have some things I'd love to do, but I don't want to overcomplicate things just because I see another person doing it. Yeah.
Oh, I love that. Okay, I have two questions for you. And if you don't want to answer, that's totally fine because they're a little harder. Question number one, I'm thinking is, what is one thing you wish you would have learned before you jumped in? Like you were like, oh
Mm.
man, if I just knew this one thing, that would have made it so much easier.
I think that it's honestly the mindset stuff. I think everything I said was a mindset tip. And so
Yeah, I love
it's
it.
really not even about logistical things or like the tangible things, like making sure I have enough boxes and making sure I have enough crinkle cut paper. Like inventory. I love connecting with the small businesses that I order from. Like none of that is hard for me. So all of the hard stuff has been mindset shifting. I didn't even know what mindset shifting was when I started this business. It's just been over time of being like, I cannot think that way anymore and do what I'm doing or, continue to grow. I think I wish I had known that like I can't do it all by myself forever. You can start a business and be like, yes, I'm a one woman show. I'm so proud of this. Like, this is amazing. I'm doing it all. But at the same time, like, there comes a point where that's almost a badge of honor. And that's for me personally, I was carrying that as a badge of honor. Like, yeah, I'm a one woman show over here. And that's all fine and dandy. But if I'm going to grow, if I'm going to get to another level and serve more moms, which is the end goal, guys. Like that is my goal. Then I have to not be a one woman. I have to invite people in. And so that's what I've done this year so far is invite people on the journey with me into my home to help pack because packing is, it takes a long time and so many details. So yeah, that's what I wish I had known. I think is just the mindset stuff and you cannot do it alone. Yeah.
Oh my gosh, I love that. I love hiring people. I'm like, woo, I got this person on my team. Because I
That's
feel like I
funny.
carried that badge too. Like, oh,
Yeah.
look, I'm the mom and I homeschool and I have my own business. And then you get to a point where you're like, holy crap, I feel like I'm dying. Like, and
Yeah.
then you
Yeah.
start gladly hiring people to help.
Yeah. Like you don't want to hate what you're doing. And, there's been
Right.
times where I've wanted to quit and I can't, like, this is so hard. I don't want to do this anymore. Or, I'm not growing or whatever. There's definitely been times of just wanting to give up. But yeah, hiring people, letting people in, finding those people that'll join you that are passionate about it too. Yeah.
I love that. Okay, second hard question.
Yeah.
I know a lot of people when they start or thinking about a subscription box, one of the things that they're nervous about is the cost because you're paying for these products to go in this box and then
Mhm.
you've got shipping and all of these things. And so I was wondering, do you know what percentage of like your cost, like every box that you sell or your loads, do you only spend like 10% purchasing costs or is it higher? Like I'm always so curious of what that looks like.
Yeah. Okay. Well, everybody is different. Everybody, has to do what they think is best for their family, for their budget, for their financial situation. Some people, go ahead and open a credit card when they're starting because you're like, I need the stuff to fill these boxes and I'm starting with $0. And so, you get a credit card, you do it that way. I personally didn't do a credit card. My husband and I did Dave Ramsey like 10 years ago. And so it's like, never getting a credit card. We just didn't want to go down that route. So what I did was, borrowed from our own budget to start us off. And then, now that I've been doing this a while, I transfer money out of my business account into our personal, like it's opposite now, which is amazing. So yeah, it started out like, borrowing here, borrowing there from this account, that account, and figuring it out. And then now I'm at the point where, I can plan out a lot farther. I still don't have a credit card. I don't know that I ever will. I don't know. But I'm able to plan out a lot farther. I'm usually about 3 months ahead of where I want to be when I'm ordering or even just contacting the business and being like, look, can you hold these for me? Or like, can I deposit something, but I can't pay it all right now? Like I want to pay cash for everything. So that's what I'm doing. And then as far as like the budget for the box, I'd say it's about 40 to 50%. Like what I'm buying, the cost of what I'm buying to go in the box is about 40 to 50% of what I charge. Like, I don't know if I'm explaining that very well. I'm like really bad with numbers. But let's say my box is worth $39.99. Okay, $40. So I try to whatever I'm putting in, I add up the value of that, the wholesale value, not the retail value. I add up that and I try to keep it under 16 to 18-ish dollars. And then that way I'm making it up on the other end, by charging $40. But whatever I'm putting in my box, I want to make sure whoever's buying this box, they're getting more than they paid for. Obviously, I don't want to, I don't want them to get a box that they paid, almost $50 for, and it's only worth like 30. So I'm super picky. I pick very high quality products, but at the same time, trying to negotiate with those business owners, ordering, several products at a time from them so that I can get a lower rate. I do whatever I can do without, I don't never ask for anything for free. Just, trying to get as low as I can with as much value as I can. It's really a delicate
I
balance.
love that.
It's a delicate balance, but it's like a game. Like, again, Julie Ball, she's like, you need to make it like a game. And it really is. Like, I'm trying to keep it under a certain amount every month. But I have fun picking the products because I love that part of it. So I don't know if that
That's
answers your
so cool.
question, but
Yeah, I love that. Thank you for being open with that. I know when I was a photographer, I sold boxes and albums. And so I sold physical products with my photography. And same thing, I always try to keep it around 20, sometimes it was 30, but at least under 30%. Because
Mhm.
those of you listening, remember, even though you want to give them so much value, and you do, you also want to make sure you're making money. Like, I've seen too many businesses go out of business because they forget that they have to make money, and they
Yeah.
just want to give and give and give. And I feel like as women, we do that naturally anyways. We're like, here you go, give, give, give. And we
Yeah.
forget that in order to have a business and run a business, you have to make money. And I just wanted to add something, but for those of you listening, value doesn't always have to look like dollar per dollar amount. For me, when I was doing photography, the value was the breakfast, the environment,
Mhm.
having a makeup art, like creating this experience instead of like, this product is worth $40 you pay, and so
Yeah.
creating some type of an experience and a feeling around it also adds to the value of whatever it is that you're doing. And so I love that you talked
Absolutely.
about this delicate balance of making sure they're getting more than what they paid for while you're still making money. Oh man, I
It's
love that tip
hard.
because that's with every business. I hope you guys listened to that and took value from that, because that is how you'll succeed. Because if your customer feels like they're getting so much from it, they're going to keep coming back. The reason why
Right.
people stop is not all the time, but sometimes when people stop is they're like, I don't see the value for that amount of cost. I know that's why I didn't get a lot of photo shoots, because they're like, I don't get it. And then when I
Mm.
started marketing all the value that they're getting, they're like, oh my gosh, you're so cheap. Like the script started changing and flip flopping. So I love that you
Yes.
said that. So, so true. I love that.
Yeah. So I at first I would get so frustrated because I'm like, I can never be FabFitFun. I can never be Cosbox. And not that I'm really trying to be, but the idea is people love those boxes because they're cheap, but they're getting hundreds of dollars worth of value. Well, I'm not buying millions of products or even like tens of thousands of products. And people aren't just like throwing themselves at me to get in my box, like here, take all of my stuff. I don't know. I don't want to get to that point really. But so that's the thing is like, what can I do to add value, but still make money? And so, yeah, it's a tough, delicate balance. And it is an experience. I try to make my boxes as experiential as I can. They're themed. Every month is a different theme. And so every product is like very specially curated. I'm very picky about what I put in, and it's all around that theme. And I do self-care tips inside the box. We do a Spotify playlist around the theme. So I really try to make it something that you can like have a nice experience with as a mom. And a lot of people say like they go in the bathroom and hide and open the box because they want to really experience it instead of their kids like grabbing everything and
I
the
love
crinkle
it.
paper flying everywhere. So, yeah.
Oh, that's awesome. And you have a podcast. And if I recall, your podcast episodes of the month correlate with the box. So it's
Yes,
like,
I try to do that. I don't
I
always,
love
not
that.
always successful with it, but yeah, I do try to like, okay, like for a good example, last October, the theme was Mama Needs to Think Pink, and I was doing a breast cancer awareness box. And so I wanted to do a breast cancer awareness series on the podcast. So I found 4 amazing women who are breast cancer survivors and interviewed them. And that was probably the most powerful month of ever. Like it was amazing to hear their stories and get their encouragement. And Yeah, I sent them all a box. Like it was a whole thing. And that was really great, I think, for people who were getting the box to experience it at the same time and listening to the podcast. So yeah.
Oh, I love it. So good. Oh my goodness. I hope you guys are dying as much as I am. Like, go back and listen to this episode. There's so much gold in here that I'm like, oh, I can't wait to apply these things to my business.
Oh,
So,
I'm so
and I don't
glad.
have a box, but there's so many things that you can learn no matter what business you have. Like, business
Yeah.
is business. But if you are wanting to do a subscription box, this was, oh my gosh, so good. Okay, we are going to move on and play the Dream Makers game. It's the 5 favorites. So I'm just going to ask, like, what are your favorite 5 things? So number 1 is, what is your favorite food?
My favorite food. Okay. I am going to say this because I'm missing it currently is, like I said, I'm from South Florida. There's a very large Cuban population down there. A lot of my friends are Cuban, and I had my fill anytime I wanted to go get Cuban food, and I miss it so much. There is
It's
nothing
so
like that
good.
here. I mean, we have an abundance of other things, but like there's nothing around, within really driving distance. And so anytime we go down to South Florida, we go to all the Cuban places and get as much as possibly can and go get a cafe con leche and just enjoy it.
Love that. That's
Yeah.
awesome. What is your favorite TV show or movie?
Oh man. Favorite TV show or movie? Well, okay. I just read, okay, this might infringe in one of your questions, but we went on spring break to Florida, and I needed it wasn't really a light read, but I wanted just a fun fiction read. And so I had this book that I bought at a used bookstore called The Girl on the Train. I'm sure you've heard of it. It turned into a movie, and I read the whole book on vacation, and I was like so glued to it. And it was great because it just distracted me from like anything else I was thinking about. And it really like sucked me in. And so then when I got home, I was like, I need to watch the movie. And so I actually just finished the movie not long ago. So yeah, that I wouldn't say it's my favorite, but it's something that I've read and watched just recently. That was a really, really good.
Oh, cool. Okay, next one is, where is your favorite place to go vacation?
Ooh, anywhere that is tropical. It's funny because I've lived in 2 different places where people vacation. So I've lived at the beach, and now I live in the mountains. And I feel like when you're at the beach, you want to visit the mountains and vice versa. So I guess I'm at that point where I'm like, I just want to be near a pool. I want to be at the beach. I want to see palm trees. I want to eat, fresh fruit. Like I just feel like those are the things that I crave when I'm not there. And so, yeah, anywhere that's tropical or on the coast, and with my husband, I'm all in. Yeah.
I love it. What is your favorite podcast you're listening to right now?
Oh gosh, there's so many. That's such a
I
hard
know.
question. I'm such a podcast junkie.
Me too.
Um, Man, I guess I don't know. I've always been such a big fan. I'm gonna say 2. I've always been such a big fan of Jenn Hatmaker's podcast. I've listened to it since day one. Um, I've loved the Happy Hour with Jamie Ivey, which was cool because I applied to be on her gift guide podcast 2 years ago. So the gift guide of 2019. Um, and she accepted my submission, and I was like, what? Like I was not expecting that whatsoever. And it was one of those things where I was like, oh my gosh, am I going to explode right now? I didn't, but it was super, it was super helpful. Just getting more people to know who I was. Cause I had just hit a year at that point. And it was helpful in some ways, but it was just really one of those things where it was like, oh, like somebody else talking about me. And it was almost like just that moment of like, I'm there. I'm a business now. I don't know. And so having her talk about our box, it was on video, it was on a YouTube video, and it was also on the podcast. That was really amazing. And I've listened to her podcast for years and years. Love her. Also love Emily P. Freeman's The Next Right Thing podcast, because I just love her voice. So soothing.
Oh, that's so cool. I haven't heard
Sorry,
the
I gave you
last one,
3.
so I'm gonna go have to check that out. I love it. Okay, last one. What is your favorite thing about being an entrepreneur?
Oh, my favorite thing is just The flexibility, honestly, at the beginning of the podcast, I was talking about how we were in that hustle culture and I didn't get to, take my kids to the doctor or pick them up from school. And my mom was babysitting. And I just felt so overwhelmed as a mom. And like I said, just wanted to get away from that and wanted to be in a place where I could be super flexible, where I could make my own schedule, just in that place of making the rules, honestly. So I just love, that's probably my favorite part of entrepreneurship, is just getting to do what I want to do when I want to do it. I can pick up anytime and, go on a weekend away if I plan ahead, things like that. And I can go get my kids from school. I can take them to soccer and go to all the things like that means so much to me. So that's my favorite part. Yeah.
Oh, I love that. Jen, thank you so much for coming on the show. This was so awesome. I loved hearing your story, learning all these amazing tips from you. Thank you so much for giving to my audience. I appreciate it so much. Can you tell everyone who's like chomping at the bits now to figure out where they can find you? Tell us where we can find you, connect with you, all the things.
Absolutely. It's been such an awesome experience to be on. I loved your questions. But yeah, you can find me mamaneedsbox.com, and I spell mama MAMA. I'm also on Facebook and Instagram at Mama Needs Box. And I'm an open book, you guys. You can DM me, talk to me anytime. I love to talk business. So yeah.
Oh my goodness, I love it. Jen, thank you so much for coming on the show. This has been such a joy.
Thank you.